All right, folks, welcome to the Fitness for 55 Plus podcast, brought to you by StrongerLife, the gym for 55 Plus. My name is Dr. Dustin Jones, physical therapist.
My name is Dr. Jeff Musgrave, doctor of physical therapy.
All right, so we want to address a very common question that we get from members at StrongerLife, from folks that are interested, and from several of y'all online in our Facebook group, our Fitness for 55 Plus Facebook group, and that is, how did StrongerLife start? It's not a typical gym. It's very unique. There's not a lot of gyms like this in the US or any that we're aware of. How did it start? Why did two physical therapists decide to start a gym instead of just doing physical therapy? We get this question a lot. So I'll let you start about why, as a physical therapist, why in the world would you want to stop doing physical therapy and open up a gym?
Yeah,
from your angle?
that's a very relevant question that I get pretty often. I think for me, there were, two big factors. One, when I had the desire to go into physical therapy, I thought I was going to get to do more wellness work and health work. Even though I've been involved as a PT tech for years, I didn't realize that the cutoff point for most people with skilled physical therapy is once they're back to baseline. Mm-hmm. Once you get back to baseline, once the pain is gone, whether your function has fully recovered or not, most of the time insurance cuts you off and the journey ends. So that was a big thing, is realizing that most of the value in our services and our knowledge is getting people back to fitness, building margin. I can do my daily life plus how much? And it's all about that plus for longevity and the people that I like to serve the most, which are older adults. So I would think that was a big thing, was some discontentment from practice. I loved getting to treat people, help them feel better. But then when they got to that pivotal point, I had to discharge them and try to send them to someone who would challenge them and help them continue that journey. But they didn't have the knowledge that I did. So there was a differential in knowledge, and sometimes it worked out and sometimes it didn't. So I think discontentment and seeing a lot of opportunity. And it wasn't my idea. You brought it to me, but I had felt that. Seeing people discharge from physical therapy after we had done the best we could. They didn't start a fitness program. They end up back in for some type of condition that could have been completely eradicated if they had stayed healthy and strong.
Yeah.
95+% of what I treated was preventable. Very few times as a physical therapist did I see someone from an acute injury or a true accident where it's this was a one-time thing. Most of the people I treated, completely preventable, but no one got them on the path, or they weren't on the path, or they didn't have the support, or at the time they were finally ready, they had lots of complex medical conditions and joint pain. And it's just they can't just walk into a normal gym and have a good experience. And everyone can't afford a personal trainer that does have the knowledge. And it's even if you can afford one, who's an expert on aging and arthritis and joint replacements and heart failure and COPD and asthma and osteoporosis? It gets more complicated as life goes on. Sorry, I just kind of went on a tear there, but it just gets me all riled up again that we were sick care. All I did was sick care.
Yeah, 100%. So for context, we were working, or we worked together, but we were working together in home health. So Jeff and I would go into people's homes, do physical therapy, and 99% of those situations were preventable with a lot of variables. But a healthy lifestyle, a fitness, regimen of getting as strong as possible, as fit as possible, focus on your balance, challenging your cognition, that would dramatically impact 99% of the things that we saw. And so it really was preventable suffering. But the frustrating part was, like you mentioned, the services available. Because there's all kinds of gyms. I'm not going to name names, but there's all kinds of programs that you don't even have to pay for that are free, covered by a lot of Medicare plans. that a lot of gyms offer, and I think a lot of people do benefit from those. But what we often saw is that when people would get in a lot of these kind of bigger classes, that they often didn't really get what they needed in the sense of challenged enough to actually get stronger and improve their bone mineral density, or have their balance challenged in a manner that they are going to have to respond and adapt to work on their balance recovery, to challenge their vestibular system, the other components of balance, the ability to work to get on and off the ground, and the ability to modify around a whole host of limitations and issues that people have. That a lot of it is kind of generalized and maybe not as effective as a fitness program could be. And for us, it was like, man, there's nothing out there that we know what people need as they age, so we're going to create it. And so we left home health and we started this program, and we don't offer physical therapy. And that's very intentional, right? Because there's so many physical therapists that do a really good job at physical therapy. The gap is when physical therapy ends.
Yes.
Where do people go? And that is what StrongerLife is. So when you walk in here, you see folks that we just had a new member that just walked out, 2 knee replacements, just did a 60-minute class. Folks that have had heart failure, COPD, diabetes, hip replacements, shoulder replacements, back fusions. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And we're able to accommodate, modify, and give these folks exactly what they need as they age. So it's filling a huge gap. That's one. The second one, for me, it's very selfish. As I'm drenched in sweat, like I want something a program that I know is going to set me up for the future. Because you will go out and you'll join a gym. You could lift heavy things. You could send it on a rower, a bike, or a ski machine and really build your cardio. There's a lot of gyms that will get you fit, but there's not a lot of gyms that will get you fit, but also challenge your balance, your reaction ability, your ability to do a cognitive dual task, 2 things at once, or a motor dual task where you're doing 2 motor or coordination activities at once, which is really important for balance. You don't see a lot of people teaching others how to fall forward and backward. A lot of these different elements that we've built into our program, they're very specific to things that are important as we age, that we just don't see that. And this is what I want. It's really selfish to be honest. Something I want for my parents, my grandparents as well. But yeah, that's why. That's why we started it. What would you say to folks in terms of like, why don't you offer physical therapy? Like, how do you typically address that question? Because we'll get that a lot too when we say we just offer fitness. We don't offer physical therapy.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of already hit on this from my perspective, is there are a lot of providers in the physical therapy realm that are doing good work. Like, there's not a gap there. Mm-hmm. And like, what we're doing in fitness is completely different than a one-on-one session with the physical therapist. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's already access to good care. I would say that mission is not over. All physical therapists are not created equal and don't have the same training. That's, one reason that you and I teach together. Mm-hmm. And so grateful that I get to teach on that front, to teach other physical therapists some of these things, because all physical therapists don't know these things. But yeah, just we know good physical therapists that can take care of that end, but there isn't anywhere doing this in a group environment that's going to challenge balance and cognition, the ability to fall, specifically designed for like aging bodies, for strength and bone density. Like, it's just not out there. Right. You can't get access to it. And it's sad because like we get to see people's lives change through fitness, just consistency. I love, I'm assuming I'm just stealing it from you now, but consistency over everything else.
Yeah.
Consistency over
someone. So.
Yeah, it's great. Well, y'all steal it too. But I mean, the consistency is so important. Show up and do what you can do. You don't wait for your best day. You don't have to show up and be 100% every day. But that consistency, having the community, having the fun, and just like constantly like constantly varied like movements and programs. Like it's just fun. It reduces your injury risk. I'm not answering the question you ask at all now.
We're good.
But I just love what we're getting to provide, and I love how it changes people's lives. And like for me, I was really concerned I was really going to miss like full-time in the clinic. And it's like I feel like I get to do the most important part of the job, you know, once things are done, to like help people stay well for decades. It's like turning days into weeks, weeks into months, months into years, years into decades. Like that's how we win the aging game. And it's just so cool to like have those relationships with people long term.
Yeah, it's fulfilling. Yeah, because we're used to working with folks for a handful of weeks, which is great, and you can see a lot of change. But yeah, I mean, we've had folks here that have been here for all 5 years of our existence, and to see the change is just wild. Another question related to physical therapy that we'll get is, do physical therapists coach the classes? And not necessarily.
Yeah.
Why is that? What's your take on that? What do you typically say to folks?
Yeah, I mean, because of we get to teach continuing education courses, and we get to skills check for physical therapists that are learning movements for the first time. Like they don't know, some of them don't know the difference in a squat or a deadlift or an overhead press. And like they're coming in with no base knowledge. Our coaches get a very similar training experience, but just focused on fitness and the movements that we do, without the documentation side of things or like any of that type of stuff. So it's like we certify all our coaches, and the same thing we're teaching rehab professionals. I get to see what I know works, what I teach the students that have a different degree, and our coaches learn the same things. So I feel 100% confident in our coaches' ability to modify around injuries, to see that there's a problem and intervene. Like I have full confidence in them because they're getting a very similar training, a professional level training with direct feedback, with constant education. I mean, like our last coaches meeting was a blast. Went through troubleshooting, common injuries, how to keep people moving, and have a very specific order to do that, to make sure people have the best experience, get the most out of class. And yeah, I mean, we have got professional coaches that know what they're doing and understand aging bodies, common injuries, common surgeries. We don't need a physical therapist to do that. And like, that was a big thing for me to realize, you know, early on when we first started. But we've seen our coaches that have no medical degrees crush it in the gym and change people's lives in a way that some of the students that I teach, like, they're not ready to do.
Not at all.
Like, they don't get the experience and the reps at seeing people move and doing the corrections like our coaches do, and getting that constant feedback loop. Like, I'm in sampling different parts of class to make things better, and we're constantly learning and growing together. Yeah,
I think it's real important for folks to understand that what you said, not all physical therapists are created the same. And physical therapists aren't good coaches. Like, coaching is a separate skill set.
That's not taught in school.
That's not taught in school. And so it's very, you cannot expect any physical therapist to be able to handle a room of individuals and guide them through a workout and be able to provide modifications in a very efficient and clear and simple manner. You're not going to find that, right? No. But some physical therapists can become good coaches, but it's a completely separate skill set. And so that's why we've intentionally put coaches in that role. Like, it is, and the coaches have such an amazing ability to take, because they have so much experience in the movements comparatively to physical therapists, that they can take the framework that we provide in our StrongerLife coaches certification and apply it to these people. I think physical therapy knowledge, and this is where, you know, what Jeff does for StrongerLife is he creates a class, he creates a program with that physical therapy lens, structures the workout, what movements are we going to work on, how are we going to modify these in the presence of different injuries and issues, and then the coaches execute on that plan. And so the value of the physical therapist is in the creation of the sauce, if you will, and then the coaches are the ones executing it.
And then the training.
Yeah, the training is huge. So yeah, I honestly, I think most physical therapists, if we just took them off the street, they would not be good coaches.
They would crumble.
Right. And there's coaches, a lot of coaches would not be good physical therapists, right? Yes. Like it's just a completely different skill set and profession. So we'll get that question a lot, and that's really where we're at, but we're very confident, and our members are too, in just the training that all the coaches get. Like, it's professional training. There's a lot of similarity between the professional training that we are giving other physical therapists through our continuing education that we teach across the country, or the world at this point. And so, yeah, these are the best coaches you're going to have if you're over 55. Yeah. Don't put like a high school athlete in front of them. They may not handle that well, but man, if you're over 55, you're not going to find a better coach. So yeah, but that is StrongerLife. That's why we started it. That's why it's structured the way it is. That's why our coaches are professionally trained, and Jeff, the physical therapist, is creating the program, creating the experience. And we're changing lives, by the second here. So if you have any other questions about StrongerLife, about our coaches training, or anything related to what we're doing here in Lexington, hop in our Fitness for 55 Plus Facebook group. So if you go to Facebook, search Fitness for 55 Plus, you'll see our Facebook group there. There's about 900 folks in there from all across the world, and we share helpful content, helpful videos, and interesting articles that we come across. And that's where we take a lot of your questions and we address them on this podcast. We're grateful for your questions and your engagement, and we'll talk to you soon. Boom. 16 minutes.